air conditioned, and now I'm in a car. So, you know.
Right, brother. Listen, we are live, fellas. Listen, welcome to everybody. We are live back in the barbershop. We are here today with two phenomenal brothers. I'm going to let them do their own introductions, but just know that they're going to bring the fire today. Right? They are always active, always willing, always ready. And so I expect that tonight we're going to pull the covers off. We're going to talk about this thing called Black Love from the Black man's perspective. Really how it impacts not just us in our personal relationships, but how it impacts us in our communities, with our families, and how we nurture that and grow that so that it becomes the real narrative and not the narrative that's been placed on us. So with that, I'm going to say, my brother Tracy, I'm going to start with you. Introduce yourself, man. Give a little snapshot, even though everybody knows who you are, world renowned.
Everybody keeps saying that. I don't know about that, bro.
Well, we're going to make it so.
I still see people on the street right now here in Trenton say, man, I got to get your book. You know, that book's been out since 2012.
Right. That's how impactful you are.
So maybe I need to reintroduce myself. Yeah, so listen,
That's
Tracy Side Facts. Born in Asbury Park, New Jersey, home of Danny DeVito and Wendy Williams and me. So
you
Wow.
grew up here in Trenton, New Jersey. You know, I've been here probably, I would say 53 years, 55 years now.
Wow.
So definitely call Trenton my home. It's the place that I love and is very near and dear to me. So, you know, I'm a 27-year entrepreneur, just someone who has basically just transformed this hustle. Someone who literally went from the block to the boardroom. So, you know, that's my story. And I'm sticking with it. You know, and I can definitely share a little bit more about that later on.
I hear that. So stick with it, bro. If it ain't broke, don't try to fix it.
Nah, listen, the great poet Walt Whitman said, "It ain't bragging if you done it." So.
That's it. I love that. I love
that one. Yes, sir. Brother Edu.
So man. Yeah, much love and respect to y'all, man. I'm so honored to be here. Voice is a little challenged, but I'm blessed. Mansho Edu, a Coleman House Initiative, culturally based counseling consulting firm, known around the world as the co-creator with my wife of Acoma Day, cultural alternative to the Valentine's Day holiday, and just really working within like 11 to 14 countries, teaching the art and science of Black love culture, a therapist, and just many different programs that I have. Community activist, born and raised here in Trenton, grew up in Ewing, and just always excited to be in a conversation with brothers talking about love. This is my thing. So I'm juiced.
We're gonna dive all into your thing today, man. And so as I stated, you know, to everybody, today is really about talking just about that topic matter, that subject matter, Black love, right? What is it? How do we define it from a man's perspective, Black man's perspective, and then also just digging into the depths of, you know, why is it important for us? How do we utilize it and best make it best beneficial for us in our families, our communities, and our personal relationships? So, you know, with that, I'm going to jump right in it. How do we define and how do you define Black love? I'm going to start with you, Edu, because I know you share this and it rolls off your tongue so quickly.
Yes.
Yeah, I can take notes.
Right.
Well, you know what? It's so divine order. My name literally means Black love, right? So Mansho is a Setswana word from Botswana that means black, and Edu is a regional word from Northern Western Africa that means love. It can be pronounced Ido or Idu, right? So it means Black love. I think that, you know, I just align my definitions with the cultural definitions from classical Black people before we were inundated with anybody else's theory, definition, culture, etc. And it's just that Black is color, culture, consciousness, and a corresponding cosmic connection of creativity. Love is a holistic and perpetual consciousness that's characterized by an intense emotional affinity to understand and unify with complementary people, places, and things through a reciprocal energy exchange of thought, speech, and action. So now that's the clinical
You get a clinical
definition.
answer. So please do the
But
other.
black love
That's a
is
high level
just
answer.
Yeah, he
it's
was way up there.
yeah. It is just the service, the interdependent service. Love is characterized by service. All of the early symbols of love were service equipment, our brother Tracy Sidefax is very familiar with. Farmers' tills, um, mowing tills, all of these things that we see today as symbols of construction industry and various different industries, farming industries, were actually the ancient symbolic symbols of love, right? Because love is not something you can fall into, it's something you have to build, and it requires some work. So black is a cultural understanding that is unique to our people wherever we are in the world, because although there's different languages and different things, it's the value system of black people that's consistent wherever we find ourselves in mass. So black is the culture, love is the way we serve one another. So that's my short answer. Black is our universal culture, and love is how do we serve people, places, and things with a reciprocal energy exchange where I am offering to you not necessarily the highest value that I respect, but what it is that you respect. Because there's a European concept called the golden rule: do unto others as you would have them do unto you. But your value system is not necessarily transferable. For just a quick example, men and women are complements. We're not necessarily opposites as is promoted. Right, we're complements, like a lock and a key, right? So a lock and a key are not opposites. They're actually complements. They're made to work together, although they are nothing alike. So if I try to do for a key what I do for a lock, I'm gonna have a problem.
Correct.
Because a lock requires something different. So I don't want to do unto others as I would do unto myself. I want to do unto others based in the nature of their highest value system. And if you start, energy flows from high to low. So if you start at the highest level, you cover all things moving downward.
Nice. Now, Tracy, that was the short answer. So give us the abbreviated answer, Tracy. So
listen, the abbreviated answer is black is beautiful.
That's it.
No, but I think Montu hits on a couple of great things, and I think I just want to just tap on a couple of those, because he talked about a value system. He talked about who we were before we inundated with some other folks. If we go back to that, black love is beautiful, and it's a beautiful thing. But it's also, like he said, we are a complement. Black woman is a complement to the black man. Black love is a complement to our black community, if we can somehow find that. So I think when we talk about black love, and we talk about the black family, and we talk about the black man, and especially the black woman, my wife said all the time, if we heal the black woman, we heal the world. So we began to spread some of that black love. And I got to tell you guys, I'm just sharing a little story with you, because, over the past 5 years, I've been on this journey of meditation, yoga, and just doing a lot of work on myself, especially since really intense since the pandemic and right after my divorce. But I think it's so very important that God would place a woman like I have in my wife now, who's a black love enthusiast, one who just, this is what pours out of her every single day. So as God would have it, as I began that journey for myself, that He would put me someone or give me that helpmate that was just on a whole nother level. So, I've come to learn something that I didn't learn all my life, something I've only learned over the past 5 years, is that, yes, black love is beautiful. And when we talk about black love amongst black men, I think it's even more beautiful, because now, through my advocacy work, I began to work with a lot of brothers. I just met with a brother 3 weeks ago. We went through training together. And, the brother mentioned, come through the streets, came apart, and just shy in front of, and not comfortable with talking in front of people. And I had to be able to just, work with him, and actually sent him a message when he interviewed for the job, and said, listen, your story, your lived experience, brother, is what we're talking about. And I just need you to go in there and talk to that, and gave him all the confidence that he needed to be able to go in that room and smash that interview. And that's
Nice.
exactly what he did. So I think we have to do more of that, reaching out to each other, more of those one-on-one conversations. You don't have to do it with one or two other people, but those one-on-one conversations, man, with our brothers and brother to brother, is a testament of real Black love and how we can really heal our community.
Yeah, that's good stuff. Yeah, listen, I'm right there with both of you on that. I mean, I'll echo something that you shared, and that is the fact that love is complementary, right?
Right.
I think that when folks get to a place where they stop thinking that it is opposites attracting or it's competitive behavior amongst even brothers,
Right.
we get out of that and we do start seeing the healing process that's needed, that love can create if we operate in it in a way where it's complementing each other, So
Absolutely.
Trace, for you to say that you saw this brother struggling in an area that you were strong in, that's Black love. When you say to him, bro, let me help you knock that interview out the park.
Yeah, and actually, brother, not even an area that I'm strong at now. What I had to explain to him, I come from an area of a drug dealer.
Right.
So having to, go from talking to robbers and cheaters and drug dealers and dope fiends and all that stuff to begin to talk to business people is a whole transition.
Right.
So I had to be able to explain to him, that's the transformation where he's going right now.
Yeah.
He's come from that life. He's lived that life. And now he's transforming out of that life into something that's more professional, something that he was born to do. Yeah. He just got to be able to go out there and grab it. So yeah, I think that stuff is so important.
That is
right.
That is absolutely.
Yeah, and I think Tracy really embodies that. I had the honor to have him on the Soulmate Stories series that we do.
Okay.
And just talk to him about his his recent marriage, and symbolically, I think what marriage represents is community and nationhood. There's no coincidence that 7 out of 10 of us are unmarried and 70% of our cities are destroyed. There's a direct correlation between that, because we know that a nation is only as strong as its families. So if you want a strong nation, you need strong states, you need strong communities, you need strong neighborhoods, and those are only built by strong families. We are all from an era in this city where you are associated by your family, so you're like, who are you? I'm from the white family or this family or whoever, right? And that name would precede you, and you would either uphold it, disprove it, or whatever, but it would still precede you, and people knew kind of how to respond to you. In today's world, that neighboring energy is gone. And so in the neighborhoods, when the neighbor's gone, you just got the hood, right? So the neighbor is gone, and now we just live in the hood, which is a trauma-soaked environment that is besieged with a lot of problems, but not a lot of solutions. And as Tracy said,
let me stop you there for a second. I apologize, because you're segueing right into the next piece that I wanted to talk about, which was why is Black love so important for us as a people, in our communities, in our families? And you're touching a little bit on that and where you're headed in that direction. And so let's talk about the value of Black love for us as a people, the value of Black love for us in our neighborhoods, our communities, with our names, because I agree with you. There was a moment in time when your name carried weight, whether it was good or bad. Your name preceded you in the neighborhoods that we grew up in and in the communities we were in. You could drop the name and they'd be like, "Oh, I know your people." Right. So let's talk about the value of Black love in our neighborhoods, in our communities, and for our families.
Yeah, I would say this. And Tracy began to allude on it with the example that he gave. First and foremost, and I don't argue who needs more work, because we are each other. So imagine us as we so sensitive with the battle of the sexes conversation, which is not even our cultural paradigm.
It's not.
But we are lost, so we're assuming it as if we created it, and it was absolutely manufactured and put on us and not our natural paradigm. But in any event, I don't say who needs more help. I say that the men are best qualified to help the men. The women are best qualified to help the women, and we are best qualified to be together. So however that goes, men can help women too, and women can help men. But I think something that Tracy was alluding to, we are 5 and some of us 6 generations deep without the presence of a Black male love in our communities.
Yeah.
And so that love is looking like jegnaship, or what we commonly call mentorship, but how to be a man inside and outside your house, including what Tracy is talking about, helping someone in their career path and in their psychological development. You know, one of the reasons I applaud him so much is because for 2-3 generations now, he's had the benefit of doing what a lot of Black men want to do, employ other Black men, right? That's a big thing for us as a people, right? So we commend you for that, Tracy, and keep doing that. As much, I know you retired, but I hope that part doesn't end.
Okay, right. He still continues to connect those dots.
I hope we can get a job from you. You know what I'm saying?
I was over at my house, the job site the other day. My carman said, "Man, I forgot to tell you congratulations on your retirement." I said, "Oh, thank you, man." He said, "Yeah."
Right.
He said, now hand me that hammer.
Right.
That's right. You can retire, but just keep giving other people jobs. Right. But I think for real though, man, if you look at a lot of our sisters, and they definitely have their dysfunctions, but one of the reasons they hold the line so well is that the cultural value system is being passed from generation to generation. So the average sister, I don't care how crazy her life is, there's like 2 or 3 aunties, a grandmother, or somebody. At the very least, there is a sister circle of sisters. They might be just as crazy as she is. They might be nuts, but their love for one another, right? Their love for one another and their commitment to one another supersedes their own dysfunction and unifies them in a level of brilliance that is our people. For the brothers, a lot of times your best bet is to have these beautiful women on our arms that we all have. If you don't got one of them, a lot of times you could be as successful in business as we have been, as Tracy is, whatever. You could be as intelligent or whatever, but your ass is out here by yourself. And even when you got brothers, they a lot of times don't have the emotional fitness to aid you. Now they could come, they a phone call away if you need to kick somebody's ass. But what about when you are hurting emotionally and psychologically and you need the support? A lot of times those same people who are in your sphere of influence, they love you, but they don't even have the skill set to help you with that. So they are just as dysfunctional a lot of times as you are in that regard. So I think that for us as Black men, the baton, when AIDS and crack hit, we were already 2 generations of Black men being absent. That's the only way that something like AIDS and crack could take over our community, because that wouldn't have been able to take over if all the sons were in the homes with their fathers. But that was able to happen because that eldership, that wisdom, that provision and protection that Black men naturally represent was absent. And so then you were able to infiltrate communities, destroy them, and the young men became the prey. And so you interrupted their maturation process. That wouldn't have happened if they had 6 uncles present, their father, and 4 men in the community that loved them. So Black men love is really important to reestablish. And there's tangible things like what Tracy is saying, helping somebody on their career path. But I know what he's saying is behind that is some of the intangible things of the emotional understanding to see the evolutionary process. Yo, bro, where you at in your development? Where are you in your life cycle? Let me share a word with you. Let me help you. But more importantly, I told Tracy this before, privately and publicly, but I'm gonna say it again. Bro, your personal example is vital. It is exemplary because whether it's you, Ned, whether it's Tracy, whether it's me, young, I mean, the wildest brothers. And me and Tracy are working in community-based violence intervention now. And I was talking to you earlier about that, Ned.
Yeah,
you and I have worked for like a good 25 years together, working with at-risk youth and stuff like that. The craziest youth out here are always still looking for symbols. And they will tell you, I just saw somebody recently said, man, 30 years ago when you was talking to me, I was insane. I'm homeless now, but thank you for all of that pouring into me that you did. I can still hear your voice and a few other brothers' voice when we was in the youth house or where we was ever, and y'all was working with us, telling us this is where you're gonna be in 30 years. He said, I saw you across the street. I just had to come over here and tell you thank you. And I, you know, and let me get $1 or a couple, you know, I had it just, you know, you begin to understand the impact of your example. So that's number one. I'll just stop there. Black men passing that baton of love is critical.
Yeah, and I, you know, just to piggyback on that, you know, and I say this all the time, the power of example is a powerful tool.
Absolutely.
Sometimes words can never ever express what the example can express, and
that's right.
You know, it's definitely an honor and something that I seek humility in, is to be sure that I be that example here in Trenton, New Jersey, for brothers and sisters, not just here on Martin Luther King Boulevard, but no matter whether it's out West Trenton where I live at or here on the Boulevard, is to always try to be that example. And you know, we talk about the value of Black love. I think when we talk about the value of Black love, especially Black brothers, Black fathers, it's the opposite of what we see in our community today. So what you can say is the devalue of Black brothers and Black love has become, and that's what we have in our community now. So we got to begin to reshape that. Another example I can give you, I got one brother who does snow removal with me every year. You know, 1 foot in the game, 1 foot out. You know what I mean? But he's always there. Every winter he come and he wants to, you know, they make good money doing snow removal. He's there every year, but he go back out there and do what he do. And he came and told me, he said, Mr. Tyfat, he said, I can't come to work. He said, you know, I got a little situation. He said, I don't want to bring that stuff around your shop. So, and I said, cool, I respected that, cool. And I didn't hear from him for a couple of weeks. So I just texted him, man. I still got this text saved on my phone. I texted him. I said, listen, man, I'm just checking on you to see how you was doing and what's going on. Man, he sent me this long text back. Ain't nobody ever checked on him.
Wow.
He is so appreciative of me just reaching out to make sure that he's okay. Yeah, I mean, so once again, that goes back to show you the devalue of the Black love and what it has, how far down the road it has taken us.
Right.
When a young man like that would never even have someone text him to even say, how you doing?
Right.
Are you okay? So I say that to say, as Monsu talked about, you know, me and him are working now in this community violence interruption piece, is to begin to have that conversation, to begin to show our Black brothers that love. The fact that there are folks out here like you, Ned, folks out here like Monsu, and a lot of other folks out here that really do love them, really do love them. We hate some of the stuff that we see, but the fact of the matter is that we love them. And that's why a lot of us do a lot of this work that we do today. So, you know, the devalue of Black love in our community is what we see today. The value is what I talked about and what we can get out of and how we can change it.
Absolutely, man. That's solid. Yeah, I agree with you, Trace. I think where we are is definitely at a devalued stage. And part of the reason why, you know, I'm invested in this and platforms like this and the things that you do, and obviously the things that Mancho does in the community with the violence reduction stuff, and even just in our day-to-day, you know, interactions in the community, it's so important for us to start shifting that narrative. You know what I mean? It's very important for us to start creating a culture that speaks differently than what they've been accustomed to. And so when you do things like, you know, just a simple text, it probably took you all of 2 minutes to say, hey, bro, I just want to check in on you. Those little moments are mind-blowing and life-changing for some of our young brothers who are coming up underneath us, because they get an opportunity to see, you know, a different perspective, a different look, because now it's not always the same, because you got cats who, and you know this like I do, who they rock on the block with each other, 24/7, and it could go MIA for a week, and nobody reaches out, nobody checks, nobody's looking after my man. He just gone for a week. They don't know if he dead, if he locked up or what. And so just the fact that we would start using that as an example to say, hey, listen, just a simple check-in, from my, one of my big things that I've always done and I've enjoyed doing growing up in my years was being a coach. I've coached multiple sports. And similar to what you were alluding to earlier and commenting on, is the exposure of something is the most powerful thing we can do sometimes. Right? Opening up the door to show someone something different and letting them know that it's obtainable is crucial to some of us. I mean, it worked for me. I'm pretty sure for some of you it was the same way. It was just the fact that somebody turned the light bulb on in a room and you was like, oh, shoot, I can do that too. I can have that as well. But it doesn't happen just by mistake. There has to be some intention and there has to be some purpose behind what we do as we start showing that kind of love, that kind of compassion, that kind of care for our other brothers and our families and our communities when it comes to, how they're perceived, how they're looked at by outside of our community, as well as how they feel about themselves internally.
Absolutely.
I see my brother Edu is in the house.
Bro, I told my wife, every time I get on a podcast with Ned, my phone dies. I don't know what that's.
Listen, you can put that on me if you want, bro, but that means that you ain't charging your phone up like you're supposed to.
This is a running joke now. Like every time I'm meeting with Ned, my phone's gonna die. Like I don't know what's going on, but yeah. I don't know the point you were making, but it sounded like just passing that experiential learning, that baton, that value system. And I'll say this, another thing that I respect about both of you brothers, and I think, I intentionally set out 20 years ago to do this in the realm of relationships and have been doing it since. Young brothers have to see us loving our women like that, like the day of just telling people something on the corner and then trying to have them go and to implement it is done. We got to love our Black women and our children and our families and community out loud in 3 dimensions for everyone to see. Now, naturally, there's a part of your relationship that is intimate and for no one else. So we get that confused sometimes when we say our love is nobody's business. Yes, there is a part of your relationship that is not for anyone, your children, your family, anyone. It is the highest sanctity of man and woman in every scripture that is known to man. But at the same time, the function of a relationship is communal. And so if these brothers, because for a lot of times the game on the street was, in mixed company, Black men would tell you, oh, I always love my mama. I saw Tracy put that song up there as a classic. And those things are great. But then when we come out on the streets, it was the pimp culture ruling the streets. You know what I mean? Smacking up these hoes and, so it is a conflicting message to say your mom is great, but I don't got no love for these hoes. You know what I mean? Like that. Right. That conflicting message, you have to reconcile. So, okay, so is my mom a hoe or is she not? And if she is not, then how do I deal with others? And then women to tell you, then you get the conflicting message of, look at how a man treats his mom, et cetera, et cetera. So I think one of the ways to, demystify some of the confusion is we got show brothers. Like when you see people like me in the washer, when you see Cherie and Tracy, when you see us as Black men out there doing things with our women, talking to them, laughing, having serious talks, going to the store, the mundane things as well as the special things, because everything ain't date night. Everything ain't pretty. Everything is not, we mix it up. We go through the challenges and trials that all relationships go through, right? Young men need to see that Black men can navigate those waters and still come out showing themselves approved, right? And showing ourselves as still responsible and beautiful leads of our families. And when we can do that, then what we're doing is normalizing Black love, because as we're coming back to that right now, be clear, all the trends that you see is the talking of Black love, because most of the people, and Tracy can attest to this, this is why I was so anxious to really work with him. Most of the people who talk about it, they're not even in relationships. They talk from a place of pain, or they talking from a place of dreaming, visioning, which is nothing is wrong with it. Everybody has the right to share their experience, no matter where they are in the life cycle of love relationships. They're old, they broke up, they trying to hook up, whatever it is. We all should be able to contribute our opinion, but nothing becomes normalized until it becomes what we do all the time. Until the community, we interview people around the country, and about 12 years ago, we saw a heartbreaking trend. Young women were saying, I'm no longer concerned with relationships. And I said, man, I took that to the prayer room, because I said, when the women start saying relationships are not important to me, our community is gone, because they've been holding the line and they've just lost faith.
Let me put this on the table with that comment, Edu, because I agree with you. I too also noticed that trend where, I thought it was probably about 12, 15 years ago, where you started seeing the monologue was, I don't need a man.
Right.
And what do I need a man for? And so that mindset came from someplace. And so let's talk about like what created that narrative for women. Where did we fall? What did we drop the ball? Did we drop the ball in a way that caused that to happen? Let's kind of dig into that a little bit, because I think it's important for us to be able to address what caused that mindset in order for us to figure out how do we fix it.
Tracy, you could jump in on
that. I think, when we talk about the relationship between a man and a woman, the feminine woman and the masculine man, that's for me, and I can just speak from my own experience. I'm a provider. I mean, that's just what I do. And I tell this all the time. Listen, I build houses. I'm building a house on Parkside with my hands, barely with my hands. But one of the things that I cannot do is when I put that key in that door, I cannot turn that into a home. I have a wife that's qualified to do that. And that's her job. So that's where the dynamic comes in. But I think when we get into this thing about, women, and trust me, I dated 4 or 5 beautiful women online prior to me meeting my wife. And I tell people all the time about my date experience online. It was a beautiful thing, because I met some amazing women. Just certain things about them did not lead me to where I am today. But I recognized as I got older, those things that turned me off and those things that turned me off. And as I began to recognize that, I began to see little things in people. But, the trauma is real. The trauma is real. But I think where we got to a place now when we have our careers, we have, and I'm talking about the women. They have their careers. They have the nice home. They got the little dog. They don't need a man. I got, my degrees over here. So if you put them in those 4 categories, family, my love, my house, my home, my degree, my job, relationships is somewhere around 4. We don't put enough energy in that portion of our life as we do in our education, as we do in getting a job. So as we begin now, and I've learned this now as I began to work with my wife in this space, is that those are things we grow into. When I was younger, I was a womanizer. My 33 marriage fell because of some of the stuff I did that could never, ever be reconciled. Stuff that I did when I was married that actually made me feel bad after I did it.
Wow.
So I had to come to grips and reconcile how I get over that. And one of the things I realized that even when we talk about Paul in the Bible, asked Jesus 3 times about that thorn. And one of the things I realized in early 2000, what really made me put a lot of that stuff behind me was the same thing. Jesus said, "My grace was sufficient for thee." He was not going to change who I was. He wasn't going to change Tracy Sidefact. He wasn't going to change the successful businessman. Women are going to always come after you. That's that thorn. What you got to do is you got to know how to handle it. So what I've learned over the years as a man, when I was a child, I spake as a child. The things that I did back then, I would never do to my wife now. But that was a learned experience. We grew up in a community around our men and brothers that every chick that we slay is a notch on our belt.
Notch on the belt.
Absolutely. So that hurt and that pain and all that stuff that we leave them behind, we have to reconcile that. And now, once again, I'm trying to be that example. I could talk about it,
right?
But I have to be that example.
You have to live it.
I have to be that example not only because I got a son that's coming up behind me. I have to be that example for him, and I got nephews, and and I have to be that example for them as a black man. Because what I did before was wrong. It was wrong. It was
hurtful.
It was dead wrong and hurtful and very hurtful and very hurtful.
Right.
So I have to reconcile that, and then once I do, now I have to recognize that I have to be that example now, and I have to work a little bit harder for my sons and for my nephews and for the other brothers that actually look up to.
That are coming up behind you.
Absolutely. It's very important.
I'm right there with you on that one, Trace. I said, one of the things that was important for me as well in my transition, and like you, after my divorce and going through my series of, trying to find love and dating and, running from relationship to relationship, I realized, one, I wasn't dealing with my own issues. I was camouflaging them and hiding them behind these other people. And all I was doing was creating more hurt as I was going through without dealing with Ned. And so it became important to me because I, like you, being a dad, I have 2 sons who watch my every movement. And they already were aware of the damage I had caused with their mom. And so they were looking at me as well, thinking, what is it that he's doing different? Or is that the way that we're supposed to operate? Is that the way that we're supposed to do things? And so it was important, and it was also necessary for me to change that perspective for my sons. And in doing so, I realized it wasn't just my sons, it was my nephews, it was my my great nephews and nieces, or even my neighbor who might not see me on a daily, but when he does see me, he should see what a real man, taking care of his community, looking out for his woman, living that black love, not just talking it, but living that black love, so that it is the exposure of it that changes the culture. And so that's a piece we got to be mindful of, because I think one of our biggest failures was how we did not care for or love our women like we should have, or the way that they deserve to be loved.
Absolutely.
And I think that's part of why a lot of our sisters went to a place where they were just like, I don't need you.
Absolutely.
Because all you're going to do is be like the brother who just left here who hurt me.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
And I think that to all of our defense, like I can echo what you said 100 times.
Yeah.
Both of you. And like, for me, it was definitely my sons, because I was juggling so many that 2 of my sons came at the same time. And then about that. When that happens, I was polygamizing before that even became popular.
Before that was popular,
because I was open with like 6, and then when 2 of them get pregnant at the same time, then it's like, whoa! Now everybody's life has changed, and the ripple effect is like what you both are talking about. The ripple effect is really a lifetime effect. So you are setting right a course. If you throw a brick in that still water, the ripple effect is going to go perpetually, and you can realign, but it is a tremendous work, because a circle expands equally on all sides. So when something drops in the middle and the shock waves go out, you can pick a direction, but know for a surety in the other direction, the same damage is being done. So you can't be everywhere.
Mm-hmm.
So you got to choose what you start to fix. Your problem is holistic, but then your fixes are fragmented at best or segmented. So I think that, but to everybody's defense, my wife always says that one of the reasons, Ned, to your earlier question, that the ideology of I don't need a man began is because we have 5 generations now of young women watching their mothers do mostly everything themselves. You know what I mean? And so when this is your environment, beliefs are formed by 5 key things. One is environment, and another one is the events in your life. When the events in your life and the environment says that you actually don't need a man,
he's
then
absent,
you start
he's
to
not
believe
here.
that. But that's not really correct, because I say often in relationships and just life, Black people, we have to stop measuring what we should be by what we are not. So sometimes we'll take the sickest situation and say, I got a good relationship because at least I ain't whooping her ass, or at least I ain't I don't got no outside babies. And that's the worst measure. You have to be able to measure up to the best of the best, not just say how you're not the worst of the worst.
Right.
And so with this, I don't need a man, because the flip side of that coin, Ned and Tracy, is that on the other side is a conversation that a lot of people don't talk about. Black men are about 40 years deep of I don't need a woman. Now, we haven't been saying it outright, but everything we've been doing shows that. And I'm saying statistically, you live longer, you make more money, you eat better, you have more sex, you travel more. We can go down about 12 markers that statistically, listen, I'm going to live longer. I'm going to tell you what's one of the most important ones to me, a person like me. You have a natural teammate to fight the greatest problem on earth, which is the global system of racism, white supremacy, that affects all 12 areas of human activity when you're mated. But if you are not mated, you are a single individual out here in the world being besieged by a group of families that have a global system, and you are the primary target
without
as a Black man. So, these narratives that we have, I don't need a man, I don't need a woman, I don't need this, they're actually not even ours. And so I excuse all Black people by saying this: what happened to you is not your fault, but it is certainly your responsibility to correct. And the way you're going to correct it is by using the value system of your people. First, discovering what that is, and then second, knowing how to implement that. And it goes all the way down: education, economics, entertainment, fashion, food, labor law, politics, religion, sex, which is the relationship realm, and war. And when we can do that, take responsibility back, then these examples that we're talking about and all the beautiful stories that we're talking about, I think it's very redemptive. Tracy and I working in restorative justice, and I had a conversation today about what it is and what it isn't. I said, I'm not even going to get into an argument of that, because we all have different understandings of what the English language means and what the term actually means. But I tell you this, everyone knows where they want to be, and restoring the reality that they have in their actual life to match the vision is what we all strive for. We call it goals, relationship goals, business, business goals, whatever.
Right.
We can only do that with a value system that we create. And I think that's the key. So I excuse everybody for what craziness happened. Just go fix it.
Everybody gets a pass. Everybody got a pass. I like that.
Yeah.
Let me put this on the table, because you said something, Edu, that I think needs addressing or needs further conversation about, and that is that we all have a responsibility, right, to be a part of changing the narrative, be a part of changing what's in place right now. when we think about that, and I agree with you wholeheartedly that it is our duty, our responsibility, our obligation to step in and help change it. From the black man's perspective, how do we start that process? What do we do? I mean, we've kind of hit on it here and there in our conversation today already, but kind of like with a sense of clarity, how do we move in that direction to start changing that narrative, taking responsibility? What's that look like for the black man? What's our role in that? And then also, who do we? How do I put this? It is what it is. How do we change it? And then who do we direct that to? Like when I say that, I mean, a lot of folks will say, hey, this is a lost generation, so let's go to the next. Or this, who are we targeting when we talk about that?
I think, I can take it first. I think we target everybody. I didn't change my life around until I was 33 years old. 33 years. Everything that I've accomplished, everything I've done, I came over in jail when I was 33 years old. So I think nobody is left out. There's no such thing as a lost generation. I know guys that are changing their lives around at the age of 60, after years in the game. So, I think that, but I think we start off with an atonement, reconciliation. I mean, admitting the fact that are wrongs. I mean, one of the things that I had to come to grip was that I was a terrible person. And once I realized that and needed to do the work on myself, then I began to heal myself. And I think that starts within. So I think once you begin to admit your shortcomings and begin to atone and begin to seek reconciliation, I think that's where it all begins, man. But I think you have to have a freaking honest conversation with yourself.
Yeah.
I mean, and a lot of it's hard for a lot of us to get there because we want to be blameless. We talk about people. What happened with that relationship? Oh man, that chick was crazy.
Right.
You got your mess with you too. So
right.
I mean, and I think once we begin to recognize that and begin to operate in that space, I think that begins to set that healing part, and we begin to love on each other a little bit more. But I think first we have to admit where we fell short and admit our wrongs.
Yeah, I would agree, man. I think that's so important. Atonement. When I was going through initiations, that one of the elders told me, find like 7 men, your father, a couple of other people in your family, 2 of your best friends, and just somebody that you watch in the community, and find a public figure. Said, take a piece of paper, write down everything you think is wrong with these 7 men, and then correct that in yourself. That is such a powerful thing, because let me tell you this, most of the problems that we all have, because they're cultural problems. And this is what we must understand. We although our lives are individual experiences and we're going through uniqueness in the individual life cycle, culturally, we all got the same problems. We lost our way. We lost our value systems. We lost our family. We lost our moral, ethical code. And so now we're trying to survive the best way we can while we're under attack. And we're trying to get needs met and then do all the things that we need to do. That's making everybody crazy as hell out their mind. So I don't care how good a person you are. My beautiful great grandmother, I quote her about once a week, when she used to say, the road to hell is paved with good intentions. It's not what you intend to do, it's that you're ill-equipped to deal with your own life. And that is really come to Jesus moment. Like he's talking about, you got to really look at yourself. Part of the reason that you fucked up, because you're not prepared to deal with all the stuff that's coming your way. And it's coming at such a breakneck speed that many of the decisions that you're making are only going to worsen your condition. But you mean well, though, right? And when Tracy said that about the sister, because we get that all the time, they say, oh, man, she was crazy. And I always say, well, so was she crazy the day you chose her or the day you chose her?
Right.
Usually, Yeah, usually she was crazy the whole time, and so
Yeah.
you know what I mean. So
Yeah,
so
I get, it's funny that you mentioned that, Monsieur, because I can give you a quick example of that real quick. I was dating this one chick, and she just basically blurted out, "I like the girl pictures." I see you like her a lot of her pictures. What you trying to f her? This is a woman I'm dating. I'm 57 years old.
Right.
So of course that relationship was over right then.
Right.
But once again,
right.
I had to explain. I had to explain though. I had to explain. 15 years ago, 20 years ago, I would have ignored that.
Right.
Fine, house, car, you know what I mean? I would have ignored that. You know what I mean? Now I can't ignore that.
Right.
It'd be normal.
Right.
So I think,
that awakening happened, and you can't just go to sleep now.
Hey, let me tell you something, man. As quickly as we would go in somebody's mouth on the street back in the day, that's how quick you are to protect something that you recognize that you've healed. Because there is a vulnerability that if we don't guard that stuff with our life, it could mean our life. You could look at somebody like a Tracy and is in the tradition of the Malcolm X's and many others who have shown in their one life that we all are capable of living multiple lives within one lifetime, right?
Yeah.
And so once you find a peace and you get to the place where you're trying to protect that, you protect it with almost like a veracity that's like, yo, soon as you show me something I'm not even cutting you off. I tell people all the time in relationships, a big word is boundaries. And I tell people this, we talk about this in our Black Love School. Boundaries are designed for you to protect you. They are not designed for you to control another person. So by putting up this boundary, I'm letting you know where you could cross. No.
Right.
Putting up this boundary lets me know I'm in trouble. Emotionally, I'm vulnerable. Psychologically, I'm vulnerable. So this boundary is for me. And your ass can't cross it, because when you cross it, I lose some of my power. And I think, what Tracy was saying is that, man, look, something that you used to be like, listen, we were so emotionally numb. I tell women all the time, he's like, what do you think what he said when he meant this? Nothing. He don't even care. He ain't even thinking about you. Like, he right next to you, and it don't even matter. You know what I mean? Like Biggie said in the song, whatever be, it's like, just keep doing what you're doing. Like, I don't even care, because we so hurt and emotionally traumatized. We're looking for 5 minutes of fun, 5 minutes of pleasure. And I don't even care. After that, just whatever. What's your name again? Okay. All right. Like, great. You know what I mean? Like, and this is how we operate on the animalistic level. But as we start to heal and as we start to grow, we see the impact of the damage that has been done to us. If we're honest, like Tracy said, we see the impact of the damage we have done. Because the immature man says, because I was hurt early on, everybody bought that. You just deserved it because I got it.
I got it, so you got right.
Yeah, so you get
misery loving company.
Right. But the evolved man is saying, damn, this is not my true self. I'm getting back to my true self. And in fact, I've always known my true self, but I've never had the chance to show it because my life circumstances didn't allow me to know. But we have, as Black people, a self-accusing spirit because there's a God force living inside of us, right? And so the morality, even when we can't articulate it, when we do the wrong stuff, we know it's wrong. We feel the wrong.
You feel it.
That's why we hide when we're doing wrong stuff. Nobody does wrong stuff out in the public. And then they will tell you all day, I didn't even know that was wrong. Oh, yes, you did.
Yeah, you did. That's why you was hiding.
Yeah, that's why you hide it. So that's real. That redemption, man. And so I told somebody today, back to my earlier point, restorative justice got a million definitions because it's what are you restoring to, and justice being a penalty or reward for one's actions. If you can apply justice to yourself on a daily basis, a moral, ethical inventory, the world is going to benefit.
Yeah. Listen, fellas, this is a conversation we could probably go on for another hour or so.
Absolutely.
I don't want to do that to any one of you because I know everybody's got a schedule to keep. And I myself, I'm preparing to get on the highway. I got to drive to Memphis.
Yeah.
Oh wow. Well, yeah. Right.
Yeah.
Safe travels in that.
I appreciate that, bro. I appreciate that sincerely. So,
man, I appreciate y'all, man. You know, I love y'all, brothers, Ned. You know,
it's mutual.
We know we chop it up, Tracy, man. We kind of dropped our conversation a few weeks ago, but I really want to pick up that weekly powwow. We got some things coming up on that project I want to share with you, and so I'll try to get with you, if not by the end of this week.
Let's connect over the weekend.
Picking it up
let's
week.
connect over the weekend for sure.
Yeah. But I love y'all, brothers, man. Everything that y'all doing, I support. Whenever I could check in and catch it, I'm a supporter. Whenever either one of y'all need me, I'm there, bro.
Right.
Appreciate you, bro.
Thanks, man. Appreciate it, man.
That feeling is mutual, dude. You know, all you got to do is make a call or stop by, and you know I'm here for you. That will never ever change. You know,
absolutely.
We go way back. So
yes, sir.
And that don't happen by accident. That's because that's true love.
Yes.
Well, I just want to say, you know, the few feelings are definitely mutual with both of you guys. You know what I mean? You know, me and Masu, we have a long history, so it's definitely always a pleasure. And Ned, you know, I told you when we talked last night, you said, man, I got to get you on the show. I'm definitely looking forward to coming on here because these are the conversations we need to have. And just in that same space, I just want to give a shout out to Razor Shop Barbershop, where I get my hair cut at.
Okay.
Because I have conversations. My man, Great said, man, listen, I told my wife, you know, when you was on Tracy, I told my wife, listen, Tracy and his wife is on. Come on, we need to listen to this. These are the conversations we need to have between us brothers inside the barbershop. So shout out to Razor Shop Barbershop, always in the community. And they're having those conversations down there. So join
That's what's up.
Man, Tracy, man, y'all brothers need to set something up. We need to bring something like this to them. I know we did something with them probably about 12, 13 years ago, but nothing is more live.
We might need to do a live from the shop, man.
Let's think about that. I can.
No doubt.
I'll be there. Actually, I'll be there tomorrow. I think tomorrow.
Yeah, talk to them brothers about it, man.
Listen, I'm all for it.
We can shoot a live there. We can shut it down, close at night, and maybe shoot a live at night.
Man. Yeah, that's beautiful, man.
That's absolutely necessary and doable.
Again, we need to get back into the community, and there's a beauty and a brilliance of this social media, but we are now dealing with a generation. My oldest son is 28, and then, you know, our sons are right neck and neck.
Right.
They are the millennials and beyond. They don't even know the face-to-face kind of community. When we tell them stories about North Trenton and West Trenton, and like just walking through communities and seeing like this family lived there, this generation, they don't know nothing about it. Mm-hmm. They don't have a touch it and feel it.
Just so removed.
Right. There's no touch it, feel it type of energy.
Right.
And we need to start, brothers like us, while we're in the same proximity, it's so much power and beauty in the three of us, man. And there's other brothers out there that can really, you know, we need to inspire the next generation.
Absolutely.
You know, so
sounds like a plan, bro.
Those things happen, man.
I like that.
Sounds like a plan. Thanks, bro. Appreciate you guys.
I want to give each of you, man. Give me 2 seconds. I'm gonna give you 2 seconds. Just leave our audience, because we've got some wonderful sisters who've been on with us and some brothers who've been watching with us for the last almost hour now. And I appreciate each and every one of you who have been on. I got my girls, the twins, the Phelps girls are on. They've been chiming in. I see my sister Linda Addison is on. My man Rob's on. Melinda's with us. I saw Rosie on earlier. So we got quite a few folks who've been popping in with us, listening. And drop one thing that you want to leave folks with tonight before we get off the air around the importance of Black love.
Well, first, I got to be remiss if I didn't say peace and love to my cousins. You know, I am a Phelps, and Charlene and Charnette are my two little cousins.
Yes, sir.
You know what I mean? So I love them. They are my first cousins, and I've been a big brother to them since they were little girls. But I would just say that Black love is rising, and that it begins with love of self. So we have an acronym that says ACOMA SOUL, and the SOUL stands for self and others. understanding love legacy and love systems. And I would say that the proof, the idea of Black love is projected to your community, but the proof of Black love is in your care, respect, and your continuing development of yourself. So if you telling me you believe in love, and I'm looking at the way you treat yourself, the way you hold yourself accountable, then I believe or disbelieve what you're saying.
Awesome.
That's it.
Trace, what you got for us, bro?
Brother said it all right there.
Yeah, didn't he?
It starts with self, man. And you have to realize that in order for you to love someone else, you gotta love yourself.
Absolutely.
And a lot of us run around with that trauma and that hate. We're not loving ourselves. How can we, prepare ourselves for love? And if we want love, we got to show love.
Absolutely.
Love attracts love. So we have to be the love that we want to attract. So Black love is a beautiful thing. Nothing else do for me in my life but a Black sister. And that's a beautiful thing, bro. So get yourself.
Salute.
There it is. Well, listen, man, I appreciate both of you kings, man, for being on with us this evening, man.
Yes, sir.
It is an honor to have you guys here in the barbershop. I'm thankful for each and every one of you who've been watching and listening, and I hope that something we shared or said enlightened you, inspired you, or caused you to want to be better than you were before you came on. Love you with Black love. We love you, and we care about you, and that's never going to change. Take care until we see you again at the next time we're in the barbershop. And if you want an opportunity to catch on more of this, know that here at Royalty Network, you can see us every Wednesday, whether it's here in the barbershop or with my sister Monica with the Beauty Shop Conversations. So always be a part of what we're doing, support, and show the love that we show back. All right? Take care of you guys and love you.
Peace, bro. Love.
Peace.
Love.